And I am live. Happiest of New Year's. This is my first live to my first audience of 2023. I'm really happy you all are here and really delighted that we get to hang out together. I think there's a lot of good things happening in the world, including me moving my camera and including the first person that's here. And I am guessing, because I practiced, that you can see and hear me okay. Can you let me know in the chat, you delightful human that's here, is my audio and video all working? Give me a thumbs up and let me know in the chat. Yes, Renee, your audio and video are working. I get seriously so excited every time I see somebody. Vidheya, J Crypto, really excited to see you. And Lisa Rodriguez, thank you for being here with me today on the 2nd of January in the year 2023. I was born in 1978. What year were you born? Could you imagine? Like, did 2023 seem like it was going to be some futuristic thing like the Jetsons? Is it what you imagined it would be? 1976, girl. What are we? We're at the tail end of 1972. Cynthia Lewis in the house. Vidheya, the baby of the crew so far. 1995. 95, what generation are you? Bonnie Lester, good to see you. Thank you for being here today. This is an exciting day. I'm blanking literally. I am, I think, like on the cusp of generation X and the millennials. 1976, Lisa, you're probably Gen X, I think. 1952, Bonnie. 52. Are you a boomer or are you, yeah, Cynthia? Yeah, you're X. I think X goes through like 78 or 80 and then it becomes millennials. But there's like this weird 3 to 5 year window. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm talking about it because, it's exciting. You think you're X also, Cynthia? Go, Bonnie. I'm like, yeah, I think it's 1980. Like 1980 is the cutoff from X to millennials. And then it makes me wonder as I'm pondering here with you, welcoming everybody. There's this like hybrid of like probably 78 to 82 where they're like sort of millennial and sort of X. And I don't know, like, what's the big difference? People have so much to say about millennials. And it seems like Gen Xers are just sort of not as pokey. Like millennials, people love them or hate them. Bonnie, you're definitely a boomer. What's the like classic characteristic of a boomer? They seem like hardworking. Their parents were from the war. Bonnie, tell me, what is the like, boom, this characteristic is a boomer? I hate to say it, and I'm totally open to being wrong. What is your classic characteristic of a millennial? I might be one. I'm probably not. I hate to say it. I think they get a rap of being lazy. I don't know that that's true. I haven't experienced that across the board. Defining characteristic of your generation. What is it? I'm drinking tea, and I'll tell you, I'm drinking tea because today's topic, we're going to talk about how to get your physiology from freeze to flirt. And when we freeze, physiologically, this is crazy, like a deep, true physiological freeze. Your autonomic nervous system actually paralyzes your vocal cords. Did you know that? Like when we go into a freeze, like we literally can't speak. And then we beat ourselves up because we can't talk. But like, why would you expect yourself to be able to talk? That's like expecting somebody who is paralyzed from the waist down and uses a wheelchair to get around, like expecting them to walk. That's crazy. But we don't know about these things, which is why I want to talk about it. So, welcome, welcome, welcome officially to this space and time. I'm drinking tea. Why? Because it helps to thaw the vocal cords so that I can speak more freely. Cynthia, this is geeky, interesting. You may get quiet. Yeah, we all get quiet. I love the geeky, interesting facts, especially the ones that lessen the ammunition my inner critic has to beat me up. How many times have we beat ourselves up? Probably unnecessarily, right? How many times have you beat yourself up because you couldn't think of something to say, or you didn't say the right thing, or you were quiet and you should have spoke up? What if you didn't have a choice in that? What if your physiology took over and you didn't have access to speaking? Suddenly the inner critic can't beat you up quite as much. J Crypto, Gen X is like the bridge generation. Oh, I love that. I can relate to that. We remember the days before the yes. Jake Crypto, I love your freaking comment. We remember the days before the internet, cell phones, etc. Yet we adapted to the tech changes that evolved. Oh, I'm like so happy. We build the bridge between boomers and millennials. Absolutely. Like I still remember the rotary phone with the white circular cord in my kitchen growing up. And there's a video of people, a guy showed his two kids, like Gen Zers or something, and they had no idea what to do with a rotary phone. They were like pushing all the buttons. It was hilarious. And so, yeah, they don't know. And I think there's good and bad in that, right? Like they're missing out on things that we got, and they're missing out on things that we got, for better and for worse. And as the bridge, we can bring the good with us into the next generation and hopefully leave more of the bad behind. Oh, Lisa Rodriguez. Man, I'm noticing I need to move my body, even just reading your beautiful text. We're so contagious and I love it. Humans are so connected. I'm reading Lisa's words, and before I even read the whole sentence, my body already went up into a little state of anxiety. And that's not a slam on anybody because we're all contagious and we're all humans and we all have these different modes that have beautiful things about them and difficult things about them. So Lisa says, I have been in fight or flight for 17 months since I quit caffeine. Ooh, no joke, right? Like I'm having to regulate my nervous system because I can relate. Like how many times and still have I and still do use caffeine to carry me, to give me energy when my system is depleted. It's like so awful. So when you say your anxiety is nuts, I can absolutely relate, like having to be carried by caffeine because we don't have any like authentic gas in our tank. It's a hard way to live. Oh, Cynthia Lewis, you retired from elementary kids. I'm guessing you were a teacher. That's first of all, Cynthia, if I got that right and you are a teacher, I want to say thank you because I think teachers are one of the absolutely almost I can't. There's so much to say about teachers and how much you do for the world and how seriously undervalued you are reflected in your paycheck. So Cynthia, if I got that right and you're a teacher, and if you're watching this and you're a teacher, thank you. Yeah, you retired from elementary school and kids didn't know how to use the dial. It is hilarious and it's sad. And I think the parts that are sad is that like things that were good about a past experience, they go away. And then we have opportunity to bring them with us and impart them on the next generation through stories. And yeah, hilarious. Funny, hilarious, funny. That's such an interesting, like, I could probably spend a year or 5 or the rest of my life learning about more what makes things funny. And I think there's this like discomfort and truth. Like, wow, they don't know how to use that. That's true. And it's funny because it's so obvious to me, but it's not obvious to them. Oh, classrooms are so different now. They are. People are so different now. I want to talk more about that today. And I think it's a result of so many things. But Lisa Rodriguez, I am absolutely glad you're here. Hearts, hearts, hearts back to you. And I'm going to start us off here a little more formally by introducing myself, my name, besides the fact that, you know, I'm already born in 1978, Gen X. Woo, woo, woo. I am Dr. Renee Ostertag and nervous system ninja. And the degree that I hold that lets me call myself doctor is a clinical doctorate in physical therapy. C.H. Dante, yo, it's great to see you. I'm really, truly happy you're here. So I have a doctorate degree in physical therapy, and I am also an unlicensed psychotherapist in the state of Colorado, which I find very exciting because I'm very skilled, trained, and practiced with over 23 years of experience in combining, right? Did you see what I did there? I combined 2 words already. And I'm also trained in improv. So I just kind of go with the messy beauty of fucked up, gorgeous life. This idea of blending mind and body. And like, I'm kind of at this crossroads, like this intersection of here's the physical therapist in me and here's the psychotherapist in me. And like right there at the X, somehow I can see through that place in a way that not a lot of other people can, which I think is very exciting. And the key really in that intersection between mind and body, as I see it, is the nervous system, because that's like the chief operating officer of your human system. Jay Crypto made this gorgeous comment. We've never been more connected and yet so disconnected. And part of me wants to cry because that is so true. And today we're going to talk about this concept of shifting from freeze to flirt. I'm going to share a really fun, very embarrassing story about myself. How I worked on and became better at shifting from freeze to flirt. And I'm still learning more and more every day because I have a nervous system that has a lot of practice in freeze physiology. As a human, right? Doctor of physical therapy, unlicensed psychotherapist, nervous system ninja, and human. Would you say today that you are feeling more connected or more disconnected? In this moment right now, not a character flaw, just a question. And I am seeing lovely comments come through, and I will address each and every one of them because I value you and what you have to say. We're all here to learn together. Again, my name is Dr. Renee Ostertag, physical therapist, psychotherapist. Today, we're going to talk about shifting from freeze to flirt. This is designed as education. It is not formal medical advice or physical therapy advice. If you find yourself in a position of needing such support, please seek out an appropriate professional. You can sign up for a free consult with me. Happy to meet with you under that umbrella, or reach out to whoever, but you're not alone. This is educational in nature. So if you need specific medical advice, please love yourself enough to support yourself in that way and do the courageous thing of asking. Vidheya today, disconnected. How are you, Lisa? How are you, Cynthia? How are you, CH Dante? Jake Crypto, are you feeling more connected or more disconnected? Cynthia, I'm guessing you may be a combination with the anxiety, right? How do we know if it's anxiety or something else? No need to answer, just what I've been dealing with for years. And yeah, I have too. And I know what anxiety feels like from the inside out. And I know that when I know anxiety, what I'm saying is that I know a certain set of circuits in my physiology. And today we're going to talk about those circuits in your physiology and what they are. I'm going to make an analogy to a car, and you're going to learn more about your own set of freeze circuits, how to get to flirt circuits. And I don't necessarily mean just flirting romantically. I mean flirting like you're engaging with vitality. You're engaging with life, which includes other people, which includes nature, which includes yourself, which includes the present moment, which includes the gorgeous dog that's sitting right by me. Like the ability to flirt happens because I'm running a certain set of circuits. But hey, today, that unhappy face, feeling disconnected, yes, because we are deeply wired for connection and belonging. And all the connection of social media, it hits us funny because it runs a certain set of circuits that is not in alignment with what it says it's gonna do. Like when we're wired to be connected, that means face to face to heart to heart, not face to screen and heart to screen. Heart to screen, face to screen engages more disconnection circuits. So the idea that we're more connected is totally counter, what's the word I'm looking for? Ineffective. Because we cannot biologically connect to a screen with our heart and with our face in the same way that we can connect to a human. Lisa asks, does the endocrine system and the nervous system, are they connected? Intimately. I'm a 44-year-old woman. I'm yay, fun. This might be TMI, but entering into perimenopausal, my hormones absolutely drive my nervous system and its different circuits. And I know that too for other people. I've been a therapist for 23 years. So yeah, hormones are messed up since I quit caffeine, Lisa, and it's causing bad anxiety around hormonal fluctuations. Cynthia, flirt, attention on. I'm going to flirt with you for a second. And when you flirt with me back or you observe me flirting, there's an energy in my eyes. And when I'm connected to a felt sense of that energy in my eyes, it drops down into my heart in a way that you just saw evoke laughter. And that is what I mean by flirt. Not that you're laughing all the time, but that you have the ability to connect to a felt sense, a feeling, a set of circuits in you that let you engage with life. And that is how we get connected again in all of the disconnect around us. Lisa, I'm seeing that you're feeling completely disconnected. Flirt with me for a moment. Just imagine that idea. And CH Dante, you're feeling balanced. What a beauty. We can't ask for anything better. I don't think it's a reasonable goal to try and be connected all the time, in the true sense of connection. I think we're wired to be night and day, on and off, connected and disconnected. And I think our disconnection pain can be eased if in the disconnection we can remember that connection is still available to us. And I think the first and most powerful place to remember that connection is available to us is through connecting with another human being, face to face, voice to voice, eyes to heart to heart. We are wired deeply for connection with one another in that way. And it's getting harder and harder because more and more of us are occupying disconnection circuitry through no fault of our own. It's not a character flaw. We're driven that way by all of the external environments and demands in society, cultural influences. Yeah, Jay Crypto, you said it well. Like, we experience both connection and disconnection, and it depends on the day and it depends on the activities. 100%. You're slightly more connected at the moment, and I thank you for sharing that with me because it lets me connect with you and then feel more connection energy within myself. Flirt is playful. You got it, Erica. And some people, yes, J Crypto, can really speak with their eyes. Our eyes can communicate play. And that is exactly where I want to start this story that is humbling and embarrassing and also really eye-opening for, I'm an expert. I'm a nervous system ninja. I've been doing nervous system work on myself for, over 20 years. And I had this event occur in a grocery store where I discovered that my nervous system and I were not on the same page at all. And before I tell the story, I am wondering, has that ever happened to you? Have you and your nervous system not been on the same page? And if so, I want to hear the story. Tell me, so that I can feel not alone in the embarrassment of what I'm about to tell you. So, little personal disclosure here. I have spent the last 25 years dating. And to 25 years, you get a lot of reps and you get really skilled at dating. And I've had relationships, 2 years here, 7 months there, 1 date there, 3 months there. And I enjoyed dating and I enjoy the process of getting to meet new people. But I realized this place of like, I'm really good at dating, but I suck at being able to hold long-term relationship. I just didn't have the capacity within me. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and she recommended this book that I would just felt chagrin. And it was such a cheesy title from like the early 1990s. And it's called Getting to I Do, How to Do Relationships Right. And I'll think of the author and give her credit here in a moment, because I was really glad to get this book, even though part of me wanted to throw it against a wall. Because there's this idea of do what you always did, get what you always got. And so if I keep dating the same way for 25 years, I can expect to keep dating and getting the same outcome. And so in this book, Patricia Allen writes, you need to learn how to, as a cisgender heterosexual female, if you want to occupy the role of feminine in a heterosexual relationship. So just know that that's the context that I'm talking about. You need to learn to be feminine in relationship, and you need to learn how to flirt differently. See, I would always go up to guys, which is a very masculine energy. And so I had to practice this new way of flirting in a feminine energy, which is really all about communicating with your eyes. And she says, you just want to catch somebody's eye gaze and look at them for 5 seconds and beam warmth, flirting, playful energy with your eyes. And I thought to myself, that's easy. I have been doing that with people for years. I can totally do that. Right? So me and my nervous system, I thought we were on the same page. So I'm in the grocery store and I see a guy and I want to flirt. And so I practice like beaming, right? Like I try to connect to my eyes and those playful eyes, the kind eyes, and I look at him, I froze up, I panicked, I shut down, and I literally turned and ran as fast as I could the other direction out of the grocery store. And I was like, wow, so nervous and awkward. That is what I mean by me and my nervous system. We're on two different pages. I thought it'd be easy to do a 5-second flirt. My nervous system totally perceived threat in that moment, and I literally froze and then ran out of the grocery store. I want to hear from you. Have you ever had an experience where you and your nervous system are on two different pages? Yes, we have all had it. Sundancer, I don't disagree with you. It probably was my intuition saying no, he's bad news, because there's plenty of those things out there. And in the end, it always works out. I am delighted to report that I have learned from that situation. And Cynthia Lewis, you brought up a good point of like, I cry and laugh at the same time in public, say at the dentist or alone. No reasons, can't figure it out. That is such a classic example of like, whoa, me and my nervous system are like not driving down the same road here together. It's like, I want to drive down this road and not cry at the dentist, but my nervous system has an engine or a machine or a mind of its own, and it's driving down the cry lane, right? Not on the same page. Flirt to freeze. I wanted to flirt, and yet I froze. Where has that happened to you? Where did you want to engage in life, and yet your nervous system had a different plan? You got nothing. That's all right. Sometimes life goes that way. So where I, as a clinician, have seen people on a different page than their nervous system, like I'm seeing it here, right? Cynthia Lewis, I'm crying and laughing at the same time. I can't figure it out. Who was it earlier that said I've had anxiety for so many years, right? I think it was Lisa. Like, I've had anxiety for 17 years. Like, you and your nervous system aren't on the same page. I'm guessing you don't want to be living with anxiety 24/7. I'm guessing that's a fair thing for me to say. You don't want that, and yet that's what's happening. So your nervous system and you aren't on the same page. Sundancer, I'm going to give you the fast forward. I trained my nervous system to respond to my desire to flirt in a more congruent way. And I am now in 4 months as of yesterday. Who knows where it'll go? But I will tell you, I feel more secure, safe, comfortable, satisfied, delighted in this relationship that I'm in for 4 months. So when we change how our nervous system and ourselves get along and get going in the same direction together, we can have different outcomes. 17 months, Lisa, since you quit caffeine. And I bet it's possible, because I have this theory that like healing happens if we can get alignment between our subconscious and our conscious, right? Our nervous system, our heart, our eyes. We can have healing from the thing we want. I am now in a relationship, Sundancer. Thank you. It is excellent. Like, I feel so secure. It's amazing. That's all we ever want, right? Is to feel safe and secure and to flirt with life, to engage with life. So I want to talk about the process where I learned, trained how to get my nervous system more in alignment with the direction that I want. And I've known how to do this because I've helped other people do it with their own health issues, physical and mental. I've spent a lot of years working with people that have persistent neck and back pain. Along with persistent neck and back pain, very often comes things like irritable bowel syndrome, anxiety, depression, past history of trauma, migraine headaches, fibromyalgia. All of these things go together because somebody asked, does your endocrine system and your immune system work together? Yes. Immune system, endocrine system, pain system, they're like three horses pulling a chariot, and you're on the chariot. And if those three horses are going in different directions, you're going to end up having a hell of a ride that sucks. And so helping my patients train over the years helped me train my own nervous system. Lisa, you didn't have anxiety before you quit caffeine. Have I ever had that? Yes. I have gotten anxiety from too much caffeine, and I've gotten anxiety from too little caffeine. Anytime we make a shift in our physiology, it's like a river, the chemicals inside of it change, and it throws us off because we're used to a certain set of chemicals. And the nervous system, the safety mechanisms, they like things to stay the same, even if the same sucks, right? Better the devil you know. And so if you're making a health habit change for good, for better, for improving your life, you're asking your chemicals, your physiology, the riverbed, the ecosystem that you're used to having, you're asking that to change, which in and of itself is a threat. And the system will try to stay the same because that's safe, even if that safe sucks. And so you quit caffeine, you make a change, right? You start going to the gym, you make a change. You quit smoking, you make a change. You do a new exercise, you make a change, your system will try everything it can to get back because change is a physiological threat. And if you don't change back, that can be perceived as trauma or damage, right? Lisa, you said, I believe it's nervous system damage. Yeah. Like if we swing too much, too fast, too soon, we can create damage. Thank God for the theory that healing happens if the environment is there to support the healing. And that's the key. I want to talk about this chart that was made by Ruby Jo Walker, and it's polyvagal theory inspired. I use this as a map of my own nervous system. And before I get too deep into this, I just want to say there's three colors here: green, red, and blue. And this represents three main circuits in our nervous system. Green here, social engagement. Connected is one of the words. Curious, open, compassionate, mindful, joy, being present, and grounded. When we are running green circuits, we can flirt and we can engage with ourself and with another, with our face, with our heart. If I had walked into the grocery store, that's awesome that I just burped. I'm going to say more about that. If I had walked into the grocery store connected to this, I guarantee you I would not have ran away, because running away is a property of this red channel, sympathetic arousal, fight or flight. When my system is in red, fight or flight, I can expect to run away. That's a natural consequence. Vidheya, I freeze in social and dating situations. Oh, baby girl, I got caught in Christian dogma in my early teens, and I want to be able to flirt and be playful. Yes. Okay, so it's interesting because I just am finishing up a book by Nadia Bolz-Weber called Shameless, A Sexual Revolution. And she talks about how Christian dogma gets in the way of our natural development of our sexual self. What's our sexual self? It is very connected to this green channel within us. When I am connected to my green circuits, I can expect an ability to flirt, right? Romantically, or with friends, or with family, or with games, or with play in life. And the early Christian dogma training says don't have sex until you're married, right? You're actually cutting off access to these green circuits, and that gets trained and wired into our system. And Vidya, I want to acknowledge the true pain of that, and I want to say that it makes sense that you freeze in the social dating situations, because if you're taught, trained, told you're a bad person if you go here, your system is not going to go there, because that's a threat, right? Like if you're born and raised in a Christian environment, you need to belong somewhere. And if you engage in this behavior, you're a bad person. So you're just not going to engage in that behavior because your survival depends on it, right? You're going to be ostracized. You're not going to belong. And so then you're left with these two channels, red and blue, fight or flight or freeze. Now, fight or flight is a great, beautiful mechanism for short-term use. It's atrocious for long-term living, and it's not sustainable. And so oftentimes, if this strategy is exercised too much, too fast, too long, and the green isn't available, we'll shift into that blue, and we don't even know that it's happening. And so the natural consequence of freeze in our nervous system has effects on us physically, psychologically, and socially. So this chart's gorgeous because it talks about the physiology behind this. The key word here in the dorsal vagus is I can't. I can't do whatever it is. I can't heal. I can't engage in flirting situations. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And then the natural consequences of this blue state is that our body collapses, right? Our vocal cords freeze, like I mentioned earlier. And we're rendered immobile, like we can't move, deer in the headlights. And we can expect, this is not a character flaw, when our nervous system is on this page, you can expect situations like feeling dissociative, numb, checked out. You can expect to be depressed. You can expect to not have motivation and the ability to rally, conservation of energy, helplessness. Does freeze show up in your world? It does. It happens for all of us, right? We feel shame. We shut down. There's so much hopelessness and preparation for death. You feel trapped. Those are all very emotional, psychological things that affect us physically. Clinically, I will tell you, freeze drives so many people's fibromyalgia and autoimmune disorders and Lyme disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, depression. None of those are character flaws. And many of us got trained and conditioned because you can't go here and that's not sustainable. So then this becomes the only thing we have left. It affects our ability to produce insulin and digest food. It helps us be numb, and it changes our pain threshold. It affects our heart rate, our blood pressure. Those things drop. Our temperature drops. We feel cold a lot of the time. You ever have cold hands, cold feet? Is that you all the time? That could be an expression of freeze. I'm curious from all of you here, where in your life, like what of these characteristics of freeze can you relate to? Your facial expressions are down. Have you ever seen in another or yourself? You see this? I could even like talk like this right here. This is a lot more prevalent freeze physiology. I'm not looking you in the eye. I'm kind of looking down. A lot of shame goes with that posture. My voice, it gets really flat and low. And there's not a lot of range That's freeze. Our social behavior. We cannot engage, not because we suck at engaging or because we have social anxiety, but because this is running dominant and we don't have a choice. Our nervous system is on a different page. Christopher Roten. So great to see you. I pronounced that with my German language because I grew up with Swiss parents speaking Swiss German. Where are you from, Christopher? I'm loving that you're here, and I'm loving that you just gave me a comment. Thank you. It's great to see you. Now you can see my eyes, right? I'm back to freeze. Sub-Freudian slip. Texas. Oh, I have a fun story about Texas. So I'm back to flirting, right? Chris is from Texas. I have a nephew from Texas through marriage. I have a sister who is a pastry chef trained in Switzerland, and she made my nephew a groom's cake in the shape of Texas. Coolest thing I've ever seen at a wedding. There's like the formal bride's cake that my sister Bernadette, she's a pastry chef trained in Switzerland, and she made a cake in the shape of Texas. How cool is that? Where in Texas are you from? Because maybe I'll remember the little landmark that she put on the cake. Do you see how I just naturally slipped into here? I can engage with Christopher because I'm running more green. So to finish up the blue, the awareness of the human voice goes down. Intonations in our own voice, when we have a really flat voice, when we're not really aware of the voices around us and how they engage, when we don't. Lubbock, oh my God, I just sent a Christmas card, a Happy New Year's card, because I'm super late with them, to my friend who lives in Lubbock. He's a PT, gorgeous guy, Justin Keller. That'd be crazy if you knew Justin Keller. But he's a good friend of mine, and I have been to near Lubbock. But thanks for joining in today. It's cold and snowy here in Colorado. What's the weather in Texas today? Because I think we had 36 degrees. Just to call back to Vidheya, in this blue here, sexual responses are declined. And I, in no way, shape, or form, mean anything negative against the Christian faith. I'm born and raised Catholic, not practicing anymore. There's good and bad in everything. And the bad across the board in life will shift you into this red or blue. That is not a character flaw. That is a perfectly natural response of your own nervous system, responding naturally and normally to threats that are happening around you, or events that are neutral, that are perceived as threat because your safety is threatened. So, freeze to flirt. How do we get better at shifting from freeze to flirt? Well, if you can tell here, freeze is blue, flirting is green, social engagement, moving my body. We don't really move the body here. We move the body here. You can't, according to the polyvagal theory, just jump. You actually need to deactivate through red, which means we have to pass through. What's that game of life? Go to jail. Don't do anything except go straight there. Like, if you want to get to flirting in life, you have to go through red. And the red, the fight or flight, is the fire that thaws the freeze. And this is so uncomfortable and so, again, not typically trained or encouraged in us as children. People don't like when little kids have a temper tantrum. People don't like when little kids say, no. When your system is trying to get out of freeze and it goes into red, that is a good thing. Now, Lisa can relate to this. If it feels chemical for you, Lisa, I'm stuck in red, right? So I'm out of the blue. I'm not frozen anymore. Chemically, in my autonomic nervous system, but I'm stuck in fucking red. Whew, sun dancer. My mom always called me selfish, so I grew up giving way too much. It's such a good example of how our social environment affects our nervous system. We have these layers of influence around us that cast a mold of how our nervous system shapes its riverbed, which drives our experience of consciousness, right? Sundancer, your mom threatened belonging and survival. If you do this, I don't accept you. You're not going to do the thing that drives not acceptance from your mom. Brilliant strategy for survival shapes the riverbed of your nervous system. And that's why we can get stuck. Renée struggling and still do with another layer, right? The Christian faith packs on a lot of layers. Our moms and dads pack on a lot of layers. Nobody's fault. The nervous system is shaping itself for the first 25 years. The first two, I think our nervous system goes from oh God, don't ask me math here. The amount of, I think we start out with 2 billion neurons. And in the first 2 years of life, it goes down to 1 billion because we're getting rid of that which we don't use. So in that first year of life, your nervous system lays down major highways. And Renée struggling, of course, being sexually repressed, in addition to what I'd already been taught. The Christian faith, and I don't mean to slam them, they have good and bad. That's it. The point is not to talk about the Christian faith, but how it affects you and the riverbed of your nervous system, keeping you stuck in freeze, and you cannot access flirt because your riverbed, because of what your mom said or the Christian faith said, it lays down an imprint that cannot deactivate because the pathway isn't there. So instead of fully deactivating and going back to flirt, yours loops around in this like red-blue superhighway from brain to body and body to brain. You're stuck cycling between I'm frozen and anxious or fighting or flighting. Chris, great analogy. Thank you. I don't even know the riverbed. Which analogy was great? I've learned all this because I've lived it and I've watched other people live it too. Yeah, the riverbed. And then we beat ourselves up because our riverbed is heading towards freeze or heading towards fight. Is that my fault? Did I choose that? Nope. Nervous system did. And the energy of my consciousness, right? My neuronal flow, right? Where attention goes, energy flows. Where attention goes, synaptic connections flow, neuron connections grow. If I kept beating myself up for running away in the grocery store, I would not be in a 4-month-long, happy, secure relationship. I had to train my nervous system to shift from freeze to flirt, and I had to get comfortable with my fight. I had to dig new trenches in my riverbed. I want to hear from you. Do you want to dig new trenches in your riverbed? Give me a yes if you do. Give me a yes, not only if you do want to, but are you willing to do the work? It seems like you are. There's 18 of us here today. Clearly, you are willing to show up. I'm seriously respecting you right now for the gift of your time. Because how do we dig new trenches in the riverbed of our nervous system? Through reps, through attention, through awareness, through connection, authentic connection, not just me to a screen, but me to a felt sense of my face, a felt sense of my chest, a connection to another human who's also connected to their face and their chest. Yes, André Pelletier. I love that name. C'est français? Je voudrais connaître. My French is super rough. André, are you from France? Tell me the origin of your name. Oh, Sundancer. I've been in isolation healing, CPTSD, for 3 years. I'm ready for anything now. From one to another. I could talk more about what happened in my childhood, which matters. And also, in certain ways, what also matters, maybe more, maybe not, is the effect of that event on my present nervous system today. Ah, Québec! André! Je voudrais parler français avec toi. J'adore parler français. Tenzin, shut up. Good to hear from you today. Thanks for chiming in. Let's get to digging. Let's get to anything. How do we dig? How do we dig new trenches in the riverbed of our nervous system? I'm going to give you a little bit today, but I want you to come back next Monday, Mountain Time, 10:30, because I'm going to get more into the hows next week. Today is a lot about the what, and the very first and most important how is to engage in the skill. It's a crucial skill of awareness. Being aware of the state of your nervous system without, as much as possible, critical judgment, and rather compassionate awareness. And what that means is telling the truth as you pay attention to your nervous system through this lens. Paying attention, when am I in blue? When is my nervous system in blue? Because you are not your nervous system. Even though you are, you're not. It's a paradox that's super confusing and true, in my opinion. Are you in blue right now? Are you in fight or flight right now? Are you in social engagement right now? Are you flirting? Because you can't change where you're at if you don't know where you're at. We're going to talk a little bit about how do you know? I'm going to invite us all right now to run a quick pulse check. Thank you, CH Dante. I don't know who and what is impressive, but I think impressive things are available in life, including our ability to change our nervous system way more than we ever thought possible. But you cannot change what you are not aware of, to quote the cliche quote from Dr. Phil. Right now, in this moment, I'm going to invite you to do a pulse check. What is a pulse check? A pulse check is a journey of your attention and maybe your imagination to your own nervous system. And I want you to, in this very moment, imagine the brain inside of your head. So we have a cranial vault here. Oh, CH Dante, thank you for being here. Thank you for what's impressive, all I share. It's because I was tired of my own hell, my blue-red loop. And I don't like seeing other people there if we can change it. So I'm touching my head, and I'm going to invite you to touch yours and just recognize in your imagination that there's a brain inside of it, and see the tissue. It's like pink, has the consistency of tofu, and these like beautiful landscapes, these mountains with ridges. 100 billion neurons, capable of 100 trillion connections. You, my friend, are a possibillionaire. And you have within you circuits of freeze that are gorgeous and life-saving and heroic to protect you when your safety is deemed at risk. You also have inside of this brain the ability to engage in fight or flight. Again, life-saving and gorgeous. And most importantly, to get to flirt, recognizing that within that brain runs the program somewhere of flirting with life, social engagement, creating an environment of health within you that can connect to yourself and another. So you've got this brain inside of you, and inside that brain is a spinal cord that goes down your body and ends right around your belly button, give or take, on the backside. And then it splays out into nerves up and down your arms and your legs. You have 44 miles of physical landscape in your nerves. And I want you to connect to that right now. And just type in the chat if you are experiencing your nervous system. Is it in red? Is it in blue? Or is it in green? I really would like to hear, because that's the number one thing. You cannot change what you're not aware of. So I'm going to give you all a moment, because I really would love to hear, what color is your nervous system in right now? And it's not a character flaw. I think it's a brave act of truth. Courageous, which in and of itself tells me that you are engaging with your heart, which tells me, if you're courageous, to type, to check in, to know where you are giving me credible evidence, proof, and that you have social engagements circuits within you. Creation Coach Yellow. I love it. I have other maps, and I will get into them on future lives because there is more colors. This is just one map, but green, red, yellow. I love it, Andre. Bluish green. Yeah, like we can blend colors, and we're going to talk more about those another time. But Sundancer, being aware of and releasing lifelong painful emotions, purging, yes. Exercise, yes. Moving the body, it's key in your healing. So as I'm hearing these colors, I'm going to give everybody another couple minutes here. Tell me what color is your nervous system right now. And I want to tell you a story about my dad. He was born and raised in Switzerland as an auto mechanic and drove race cars for a while. And then he came over to the United States when he was 21 and died at 82 last year. But he had a 60 plus year journey as an entrepreneur. He came to this country, didn't speak a lick of English, but he knew how to fix cars. And he would always tell me, Renee, look at my face when I talk about my dad, Renee. That's interesting, right? So my dad lives inside of me in kind of a red face. I should probably look at that. When you're aware, you can change it. So I'm going to try and engage circuits of green right now and think of my dad. And overall, I can access this a lot. And so with his devoted care and commitment to me, flight, Tenzin, yes, red, like my face. Rrr, rrr. He would always say, Renee, if you can fix people like I fixed cars, you'll be fine. And I always hated that analogy because people aren't cars, Dad. You can't just fix them. And it really drove me nuts. And since he died, my relationship with him has changed. And I can understand him in a different way now because my riverbed's changing. You know, it can change as new paths are carved. And I think in many ways, my dad was right. I think we are both the car and the driver. I do fix people just like a mechanic fixes cars. Thank you, Sundancer. I didn't used to like that responsibility because that would put a lot of pressure on me. Like, oh my God, you guys are too much. I can't fix you. But what I really have a lot of peace with is that, you know, I can. And I can also show you how, because you are both the car and the driver. Think about that for a second. You are both the car and the driver. You are both the beast and the rider. You are your nervous system and you're not your nervous system. A nervous system, specifically the autonomic nervous system, the part of your nervous system that goes on its own, for better or for worse, whatever color it's tuned into. It has a gas and a brake. I learned how to drive on a stick shift, meaning there's a first gear, a second gear, a third gear, a fourth gear, a fifth gear. When the car is in fifth gear, I can expect it won't be able to perform well in first gear activities. Meaning, if I'm driving down the highway, I can expect to not slowly see the environment unfold around me like I can when I'm in first gear. And there's different levels of performance in different gears. Our body is the same. When we're in the gear of social engagement, we can expect to flirt well with being healthy, with other people, with feeling connected. When our car is in the mode of freeze, we can expect to not be able to flirt well. I can't expect my car to perform well on the highway if I'm in second gear and there's traffic all around me. And so learning for us how to recognize, where's the car? What gear is it in? Am I on the gas or am I on the brake? Right? The vagus nerve is kind of like the brake pedal that slows things down. The sympathetic arousal is like our fight or flight that speeds things up. It can also speed things up for energy and enthusiasm, right? So green and blue here are kind of like the brake. This is like the e-brake, stop or we're going to die. This is the like, I'm going to slow down so that I can enjoy life more. And I'm going to bring some balance to the gas pedal of this red. Creation coach, I consider shifting gears, but it's a slightly different perspective. And yet I think it's the same at the same time. Like, you got to shift gears. Creation coach, tell me more about what that means to you specifically. But when I hear that, I'm going to think about shifting gears here. I'm going to change the mode of operation in which I am engaging with whatever's in front of me. We cannot shift gears with whatever's happening in front of us if our autonomic nervous system doesn't shift along with us. Or we can, but it's going to be really hard on us. So it's training, right? How do you become aware of what gear your nervous system is in? Are you on the gas? Are you on the brake? Are you in high energy? Are you in low energy? Are you in high pleasant? Are you in low pleasant? We can't change what we're not aware of. And so as I'm going to wrap things up here pretty soon, I want to invite you this week to pay attention to your nervous system with curiosity. What color is it in? Am I red, blue, or green? John Marr, PT, good to see you. Happy you're here too. Tell me where you're from. I don't know your name, and I'd love to know you. I always like meeting like-minded PTs. I like PTs in general for the most part. And I don't engage in all or nothing thinking with that profession coming from it. So here's what I did with my difficulty flirting. I practiced awareness and I started noticing how my default mode network around other people in general would go really red. And then that was the first step, is the awareness. Oh, wow. I didn't know how automatically my neck tightened up. I didn't know how automatically I went into like a tension in my face, right? Like there's this motor program that goes along with red. And I'm communicating that both to myself and to others. John Marujo, I totally know you, buddy. It's great to see you. Thanks for being here. Look how quick I just shifted. My face softened. Now I'm back to green, socially engaged. Where are you in any given moment? And here's the fun part. What emoji goes along with that? Right now, in green, knowing John Marujo is watching this, you know the emoji with the little hearts everywhere, and it's like a warm, sweet face, like, and that's the picture that I can see that goes along with my nervous system right now. And I can feel softer, warmer energy in my face, less tension, more comfort, more ease. And while my neck still feels a little tight because that's super habitual and I have more work to do, I can still feel more connection between my head and my heart through my face. And then I burped. Why? Rest and digest. My autonomic nervous system is shifting along with me into a softer, more slow mode. Creation coach. I consider shifting gears to fit what you are doing, but the perspective that if you are in a certain gear and then presented with a situation that is better approached from a different gear. Yeah, and that's life, right? Like I'm in this mode, but then in that mode or that gear, something else came along that is like, hey, suggesting change. I'm going to have an easier time changing if me and my nervous system go along with it. Right? So if I want to switch gears and my nervous system doesn't, like you said, it bogs me down. So I think it's a different perspective, and I also think it's the same. Ooh, paradoxical, both and thinking. So pay attention. By the way, quick side note, pain, pay attention inside now. You might notice this coming week that all you feel is blue energy. What's the emoji that goes along with that? You know, that like frozen one with the like icicles coming down the hush and they're like this, like that's a real classic emoji, freeze. And you can feel that in your body. The other one that I relate to a lot with the freeze in my body is the emoji that's like half blue, half yellow, and big white eyes. Like, and I notice when I do that here with you, my stomach sucks in, my throat closes up, I stop breathing. I can't engage here. So as you think about what mode your nervous system is in, what emoji goes with it? A very familiar emoji for me in red is that the like one whose face is totally red and there's all these expletives around and he's cussing and just red and on fire, like anger in the movie Inside Out. Super cute movie. Creation coach, comments only allow for 200 digits. Isn't that funny? So you had to do 2 separate comments. No problem. Life has its limits. Can we stay in the lines? Do we need to stay in the lines? Nope. I'm going to do 2 separate comments. I'm going to occupy 2 lanes. Thank you, creation coach. What lanes do you want to occupy in your life? You can best occupy the lanes you choose when you and your nervous system are on the same page. As I wrap up, your invitation for this following week is to pay attention to your nervous system and what emoji goes with it as you go through life. Give me as a gift back so that I can connect with you. What is your takeaway from today? What do you want to be sure to remember? What do you want to take with you? What was the thing that stood out to you? Sun Dancer, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. You know, there's a saying, you spot it, you got it. So a dear friend told that to me once. You're an angel. It's my little prayer hands and gems. And I still do, but when I have a hard time receiving a compliment like that, I will often say, you spot it, you got it. And then I try to just connect, because if you see it in me, then you have it in you. And I'll engage my butterfly bucket, right? If somebody gives me too many good things and I can't handle it, I like have this imaginary bucket next to me that's covered in butterflies, and I just put compliments in there as like a bank account, so it kind of fills me up. We can do another session about that another time. The Victoria 23. That's a cool way of spelling it. Connecting with my brain and nervous system. Oh, thank you. I'm really glad you were here, because we can connect to it and we can change it. Like, so much in our healthcare system doesn't give us that memo that we can change these things. C.H. Dante, there's detachment, but also indecisiveness. Oh, that needs to be resolved, even if it's going your way. Yeah, it's complex. We can detach. Is detachment the same as indecisiveness? Maybe yes, maybe no. But when we make a decision, and indecision in and of itself is a decision, we can have more power in how we navigate our ship. The Lenko History Saver. Well, I just signed on. Thank you for signing on. I'm glad you're here. But what you'll take away, you spot it, you got it. Absolutely, my friend. I am engaging green flowered emoji right now in my nervous system. André Pelletier, thank you for that. Thank you from Quebec. Your takeaway is to be present with yourself and your nervous system. I find disconnect quite often as a way to cope, and I want to absolutely say yes, and I do it too. And I am learning how to honor my nervous system that's just really scared. And that's its best defense when it's really scared, is to disconnect from something that's overwhelming. And the more I can see that and have compassion to it, I can connect to that which wants to disconnect in me. And it lets me feel different in my head to heart connection. So thank you for being present to me and all of us here today, André. Christopher Houghton, connecting to the breath is a major key to softening the tone of the nervous system. 100%. And I am of the firm belief that there is no right or wrong way to breathe. There's different ways to breathe that can yield different outcomes. And whatever we're aware of is great, because that's indicating green circuits of health growth and restoration. Yeah, Lenko History Saver, spot it instead of spit. Yeah, totally. But spit is often a lovely indicator of running social engagement circuits, because the system's getting ready for salivation. So who knows? Maybe it was a fun little Freudian spit slip in there. Tenzin, shut up. Oh, I love your takeaway of checking in with your nervous system and associating a color. It gives a perspective and a visual. Totally. You're really telling me, Tenzin, that you're taking away a newfound connection to the right hemisphere of your brain. Because the left hemisphere, this is a gross overstatement, is very organized to logic, linear, practical, analytical, 1 + 2 = 3. And the right brain is very connected to color and sensation. And it's often much easier for us to connect to the body, which allows us to connect to the present moment when we can tune into colors and images of the brain, the nervous system, the sensation. Like, it just lets us connect easier to the body when we can get into the imagination and colors and sensation. Christopher Houghton, increasing the breath. Yeah, thawing the blue freeze state. This has been my 5th live, and it has so far been my favorite. I have really enjoyed connecting with each and every one of you here today live, and in whatever time you're watching this in later, I'm delighted to connect with you there. Let's all end together with a rep of running some social engagement. Which emoji represents your social engagement circuits? And see if you can beam a flirt for 5 seconds. Find an imagination or a real scenario where you wanted to beam benevolence and engage in smiley, flirty eyes. Once upon a time in life, if you're not there now, there was happiness available to you, and you can find it again, connecting with it now. Feel your eyes, feel what happens to your face, feel your voice. If you're, humming, that would be a way for you to feel your voice. Right? Connect to your body, connect to your heart. Notice what you feel. Notice your heart. Lisa just wants her body to calm. Lisa, I just invite you to consider that you're here today with me and with other people, and notice my nervous system. And I just want you, and I invite you to notice the existence of my nervous system. Become aware of my nervous system, and notice what color it is in. And notice that exists as a possibility in the world. I am experiencing my nervous system as very white and pink and yellow and soft, calm, like bluish green, and it feels very peaceful. And that's how I'm experiencing my system. And I am like offering that to you through my voice, through the visual cues of my face and my hand. And just notice that you can connect your attention and awareness to that. And if you spot that, you got that. And so calm exists within you too. Peace exists within you too. Joy exists within you too. These things are available for us all as we remember that they exist and learn how to do reps and connect back to them. CH Dante, Tenzin, Vidhea, thank you for the hearts and the prayers. I'm filled with a sensation of gratitude and abundance and blessings for you all. And I look forward to seeing you live next Monday. And we'll talk more about the hows of freezing and flirting. And for the week, pay attention to your own nervous system. What colors, what emojis, what environments do you notice what? My name's Dr. Renee Ostertag, Nervous System Ninja. If you need a free consult, please, I'm here. You don't need to do this alone. And Sundancer, everybody, we shall see you next time. Bye, Creation Coach. Bye, everybody.